Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Akibatun lil mustaqim. Wala ruhwana ila ala dalimin. Subhanahu wa ta'ala huwa ghafur rahim. Muhammadan huwa sayyidina makbubana. Innahu kana sayyidin mursaleen. Salawatu Allah ta'ala wa salamu alayhi. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Lil ikwani wa wati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba'huda. Lil ikwani wa wati wa kulli makan. Halin salam bikum. Thank you, my dear brothers and sisters who may show up in the future. This is a quick reminder of something, events has been happening in the Bilad, Kufr, or land of disbelief. The Muslims having a tough time making prayer, especially fulfilling their obligations as Muslims. In the West, having a tough time being monitored inside the masjids, being monitored at their work, and then when they are outside and they have to fulfill their obligations to complete prayer, wصلاته, whatever, Dhuhr or Asr or Maghrib or Isha, they are encountering a variety of problems by the enemies of Islam. And by the marquee that I showed you, this is some of the trials and tribulations that are happening inside the United States and inside the Western countries per se. And we don't have this problem in the Muslim states. No woman can go, if the brothers, because you see this everywhere. You see people praying out there on the street because they, whatever the situation may be, you see them. Nobody goes to interfere. No woman goes to expose herself in front of Muslims in a Muslim state. She will be arrested. She will be stopped, grabbed, and held, and then taken to the police. And it's an embarrassment for her, but not only for her whole family. The whole clan of the family would be embarrassed over such an ordeal. But we know that here, we still have this decency. But in the West, considering all the draconian laws that have been popping up in the West, now with the so-called abortion or rules been turned over and all that, which doesn't really affect us Muslims, because we should not be engaging in any sexual contact that's illegal. And so, but because of the turn of the tide, the way things are going, the craziness, the evilness, and the macabre is starting to really show up more. Killings, ruthlessness, and so forth and so on. So, what is bothersome? Oh, salam alaikum, my dear sister. What's bothersome about this? As these cases like this happen in the street, nobody pulls the lady aside, or nobody comes and grabs the lady and have the lady arrested, even though she exposes herself to the public and to the brother who is praying. This is something. But this goes to as a testament to our brothers who do pray and so forth and so on. And you have to think about situations like this here, where this is reported here by one of the news stations there in an Arab state. And they showed, there's a video on this, a whole video shown this here and written in the Arabic language, and talking about this woman who come and then started to basically strip in front of the brother who was making his prayer. This is one just indication of what is happening in the Muslim states today. And of course, the marquee that I showed you earlier, look what this woman is trying to do, try to bother the brother in his prayer. And this is something you see people walk in there looking, nobody's bothering to try to help, the brother, or whatever the situation may be. But things are happening. But I will say too, though, the craziness is even starting to begin, even in Muslim states, in other ways. what we have in the West, we have draconian laws, of course, going after the Muslims. In the Muslim states, we have the same enemy who is there attacking Muslims, who comes to the Muslim states and do other things to make it very difficult for the Muslims. He designates Muslims who go to certain prayers of the day as terrorists or wannabe terrorists, and they have designated the masjids to be a house of terrorism, which every Muslim knows that no terrorist plot is done inside a masjid, because the masjids are not open to the point where people can gather and plot and plan such an event. They just cannot, because you have brothers inside there, you have workers who maintain the masjids. And so you can't go store ammunition and bomb equipment and then sit there in the middle of the prayer inside the masjid and make these prayers and then turn back around and make terrorist plots. It's insane. It doesn't make sense. But this is what the West has pushed. So they come to the Muslim states and declare that the masajids of Allah are places of harboring terrorists, where terrorists go there to plot their dirty deeds. And it's not true. And I will say this, and even here in Morocco, if the brothers come in there with any craziness of any sort, he will be arrested. He'll be detained if he's not beaten first, because the brothers here in Morocco are very protective of their masjids. Very, very protective of their masjids. They do not like to see anything abnormal go on the outside of it or on the inside. That's one good thing, especially here, that is, I can't attest to some other places, but I know here in Morocco, the brothers here and the sisters as well are very protective of the masjids. And brothers who've been insane in the head, craziness, come inside the masjid, they'll try to do something and they're quickly tackled and detained. So we have that. Walking out on the street, you don't have this type of malaise of a woman walking out. You just don't. Here in Morocco, that's just literally impossible. Something like this happened, it'll make news, but not only that, it will cause the woman, she'll be put in jail for sure. This is something that won't be laughed off. She'll be put in jail and her whole family will be shamed, and it'll be very, very difficult. The Muslim and his salat is, we're different than other denominations. We're totally different. Our salat has many precautions in it that no one else will have. We pray 5 times per day, and we make prayer, physical prayer. We make ablution. Hardly anyone else does this. When our Christian brothers go to church on their given day that they go on Sundays and so forth like that, they get dressed. They may take a shower or something because out of courtesy, and shave perhaps, and then they go to the church. But the Muslims do more than that, and we have our wudu, and so therefore we go to the masjid with a certain flair that we want to make sure that we are guided right. The Christians and the Jews have kind of lost sight of the ablution, where the Muslims have not. And so the Muslims are we all know that the salat for the Muslims, this here is Surah 29. This is verse 45. I have this here in English and also in Arabic. And this Muslim prayer before Subhanahu wa Ta'ala indeed prohibits immorality and wrongdoing, and remembrance of Allah is greater. We have this advantage where no one else have this. Other people, they don't even have a method to the way they pray. They just pray any way they want to. Again, you go to church, people pray standing up, or they sit in their chairs, and so forth and so on. They bow their head at certain types. But we don't have this type of prayer. We humble ourselves in prayer. We're making a prostration and whatnot. And Subhanahu wa Ta'ala tells us when we do this, this is what's going to happen, and so forth. When you come sincerely to this prayer, and this is what you accomplish, and so forth, so on. And when we look at this, This is the same verse. You see a brother here in the desert, and you see here where Subhanahu wa Ta'ala is duly loved. The prostration of humbleness towards Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. This prayer, no one else has this except us. There is the Muslim, the Muslimah, the woman, and Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And this is what makes us different. And this is what we have an advantage, because we have a chance at this particular time to plead out to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, to make our dua to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And we can ask for forgiveness for our wrongdoings and things that happen in private that Subhanahu wa Ta'ala knows we have done. We can cry out to him in the prayer, in our prayers, and it's between us and Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. This is a beautiful thing. And the prayer does so many things for us. And scientists have also declared that the salat that the Muslims perform has many health benefits to it. And so there's a lot of good coming about, and the ni'mah of Allah and our Prophet ﷺ about our prayer and why we do this type of prayer. And we are so lucky that we have this. And so, you know, I put this to talk about this in this short little video because I want brothers and sisters, especially in the West, to consider your position there and consider the difficulties that you have, and that how it's very difficult for you to make salat. And the masjids are far away. Sometimes the masjid is not open until Ramadan. I mean, sometimes they're not open until Jummah. They only open one time per week. There's so many different problems that are happening in the West, and you know, in so many ways it's so difficult. But you still must make prayer your focal point of your day. When you wake up in the morning, you're preparing yourself, knowing how many hours is it I'm going to have to pray again, and so forth and so on, gearing yourself towards prayer and that purification. And remember, my brothers and sisters, that our prayer, in order for us to be right with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, we have to have these prayers. Irrespective of the modernists today who say you don't need to pray, you pray when you want, you pray one time per year, 2 times a year, you're still a Muslim and you're still okay with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. This is not the case, because how can you prevent the things of like this when some woman comes walk in front of you and you don't pray, and you're going to, because you're not purified, you're not under wudu, you're not making prostration to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, you're not being blessed, you're not being protected by Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. You have situations like this, and what's going to happen, because you don't make your prayers, and suddenly you're about ready to make a prayer, and you see this. This woman here is going to disrupt your prayer. There's no doubt about it. And this situation like this, if you're not grounded, if you don't make your prayers often, you're not in wudu, you don't have this this pledge with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Cases like this, when you have she-devils that come out of nowhere, and here you're trying to make your prayer, and she comes to expose herself, you'll be able to fight it off, and you'll fight it off with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala being your guide, and the barrier between you and this she-devil and the devil and the shaitan behind this lady will be warded off. And so these kind of cases like this, you need to have a strong bond with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala in order to fight such a case. And so the prayer must be your focal point when you wake up in the morning, and then when you get ready to go to bed at night. You should have completed your prayers. You should be diligent in your prayers. You should make your prayers on time, and you should ask Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to guard you against the situations that you have, that you see like this, because this is happening everywhere. There's many videos now of cases where women are just literally stripping themselves. Some of them are so vulgar, I can't show them here. And it's a shame that this type of thing is happening to the brothers when they make their prayer. But Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has gave us guidance on this. And when we think about the Quran is something, this is at my house here, and I have the Quran. I like to read sometimes outside, and I go outside on my balcony and I read. And, you know, I love this time, especially in the morning. The sun is just coming up, and I like to read the Quran many times. And so the Quran should be a focal point in your life, my brothers and sisters, the prayer and the Quran, reading it and understanding it, and making sure that you keep this pledge with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. because it's important, my brothers and sisters, that you do this. And, you know, and just be mindful of that, and think about those type of things that will help to stop you from praying to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, fulfilling your obligations. And it's true, the prayer helps to prevent you from engaging with the she devils like this, or any, and even in the Muslim states now, we have, you can go to certain masjids and you'll see, you know, women now walking around, some are clothing that's very suggestive and whatnot. And you wonder at this time, why would these type of women walk past you as you get ready to enter the masjid? Or you're sitting there inside the masjid by ready to pray, or you're praying, and they walking by the door, and so forth and so on. You know, and it's really trying now that these type of things happen. And I'm going to show you a picture of one ruler, ancestral brother of Morocco, and how tough he was, and about the Sharia and stuff like this. If this stuff was happening in his time, they would go to war over that. And they would probably go, like it would happen in Andalus, they would probably go to invade. If they found that the Muslims were having a hard time praying because she-devils were coming to attack them in time of prayer, our brother here, this great Sultan, would go and have you know, probably make war to relieve the Muslims of this type of burden, because nobody should have to put up with this. And I show you the picture just to show you that here in Morocco, we take the prayer very seriously, and our brothers take the prayer very seriously. And you don't mess with the prayer here in Morocco. You don't interfere with the prayer, you know, here in Morocco. You don't interfere with the brothers and sisters about their prayer. Now, we know that the disbelievers, they have their armies and their agents who are trying to sow seeds of dissension and so forth and so on. They're doing that. They're trying to do that. But the masjids here are still open. We still hear their adhan every single day. And the brothers can go and pray, and even they themselves they want to stop the prayers, but they cannot stop the prayers, because here it would cause a big roar, because we have a Amir, imam of the country, who's practicing. So therefore, the disbelievers and their armies and so forth can't just come in and stop us from making our prayers, or stop the advance. The adhan is the call of prayer. It's not going to happen, not here in Morocco, because we're so protecting here. And so this is a big difference than some other places. Like you have problems in Tunis, and you have problems in Algeria, and you have a little bit of problems here and there in Libya, and you have maybe some problems in Egypt in particular. But here in Morocco, we don't have such a problem. As I said before, I emphasize the brothers here very, very stringent about this. They protect the masjids and whatnot. And the brothers going to prayer inside the prayer halls where you pray, this protected. We have people watching and guarding the people who are making prayer, which is great. So therefore you can make your prayer. So if some idiot comes in with a knife, or some idiot decides he wants to go and take out some Muslims in prayer, we have some safeguards in place to help the Muslims in prayer and to protect them while they're in prayer. Because it's a cowardly act when a man comes in, when you're down and making prostrations, and he comes to attack, or he comes to attack the Muslims when they're about ready to pray. But again, like I said, here we have the safeguards. And regardless of where you are, if you're in the desert or any place, here, this is in the Middle East, and you have this pledge with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and you have this tranquility that the prayer gives you. And irrespective of what happens, you can ward off this. You know, there's a famous story of a Sahaba who was about to encounter a lion, and a lion was about ready to jump on him. And he began to make his prayer, and the lion stopped in his tracks and stood there and watched him while he made his prayer. See, this, because we know that the animals make their dhikr to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. We know this as well. And so this is something that happens. And we have many videos of the camels, which is called jimal, we call it in Arabic. And the Jamal will, when it's time to call for, when brothers are in the desert make their prayer, so do the camels. We have videos of this too, where camels will get into position to pray, sometimes along next to the brothers when they make their prayer in the desert. So these are some phenomenons that, when you see these films, and you see these brothers who filmed their prayer, and you see the camels coming to pray alongside with the brothers, it's a sight to behold. And so I will give you some of these things. The prayer brings rarity to the Muslim who believes in it. This is true, my brothers and sisters. Prayer brings this peace and brings this tranquility and serenity to you when you believe in our prayer, and when you do everything that the prophet has ordered you to do, and you're fulfilling the obligations. Even if a she-devil comes before you, it's not going to deter you from your salat. You'll be able to go through each of your prostrations without any problems. Even if this woman is standing in front of you and she's naked and she's acting up, you will be able to, ward off some sort of, problem that would happen. And people like this, where you have you're in the desert, you don't have such a thing. Sometimes you have maybe wild animals, because there are wild dogs and out there in the desert. And let me tell you something, in the Sahara, especially in particular, these dogs are vicious. And in some parts of the Sahara, you have baboons. I don't know if you guys know this. In North Africa, we have baboons, and they live in certain parts of the desert. You have to ask how they survive. But Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has made it so they can survive, because there's water wells and places where water is dripping from rocks and so forth, and there's plenty of food for the baboon. So you have to be careful in some ways about that. And also the snakes there in the desert are very deadly. So you have to be very, very careful in this regard. And so I'm talking to you, giving you examples, my brothers and sisters, only to get you to think and to ponder this, to understand your obligations, and to strengthen that prayer, strengthen your pledge with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So when you in the West, or you encountered with the she-devil, or these others coming, or these or racist men come with guns and tell me they're going to blow you away, they're going to do this and that, or you have rogue policemen, Tuba policemen come and roll up on the masjid and so forth, and in battle, get ready to deal with you guys. You be able to concentrate on your prayer. Don't let them to destroy that. When you have that strong pledge with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, you see in that picture, the brother continued to pray. He didn't stop. He didn't look at her, which is only natural. We're men, and a woman body is very, very alluring to the man. It's a natural thing. And a woman begins to do things in front of you, it's only natural for you to be amazed. That's why if you read what it said in Arabic here, it talks about the surprise. Here it's talking about the surprise. But you see our brother here is steadfast. He's looking between an area here that's between you and see where this she-devil is. There's an area here of the space where this is where we go with Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, and we make our prayer. It's a spot. It's very difficult when you're concentrating. Nothing it can disturb you in this state. You see how he's looking, and you can look the way he's looking down, and so forth and so on. Even with this woman, the craziness that she's exposed here, it's not doing anything to ward this brother off. And he's he said, okay, I'm going to make my prayer anyway, and this is a good thing. And again, like I said, the prayer puts a barrier between the Muslim and the devil. The Muslim prayer, we're not talking about the others, we're talking about the Muslims, because we have this, guys, we have this protection. We have a promise from Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that the others don't have. And so our prayers are designed to put that barrier between us and all of the evilness and all of the different parties of the Shaitan has. He has the Shaitan. He has others who are part of the part of his party that go around trying to make disruptions and so forth and so on. And we have to understand that. And you got to always remember something, my brothers and sisters, that the enemies of Islam hate the Islamic prayer because it is effective. They know that. That's why they go after it. If the prayer is not effective, they wouldn't care about it. You see people, they make prostrations to animals. They make prostrations to golden idols. You see people making prostrations inside the United States in particular to the toilet. Some worship the forest. Some worship the rivers and the mountains. They don't disturb that because they know it's nothing to it. But the Muslim prayer, they don't like that. They know how effective it is. They know the history behind it. They know Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has got the Muslims in such a position where that the Muslim can go directly to Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. The enemies of Islam know this. That's why they try to make it difficult by saying that we're terrorists. When you go to the masjid to make a prayer, they say you're a terrorist or you're a criminal, or they try to make it to a point where nobody will go pray because they want to stop the prayer. Because the prayer is the barrier between us and the devil and so forth. And they know that. And this is why they try very difficult, try to make things difficult for us to make our prayers, especially in the West. So this is some things that we have to always be cognizant of, my brothers and sisters. Be very cognizant of this, that we concentrate on our prayers, irrespective of where you are. Here you see this brother here in the desert and the Sahara, and he's praying. And again, he's concentrating on his prayers. And the prayer is a vital aspect of our life as Muslims, and we must take care of it, and it will take care of us. We are different, more so than the others, and so that's why I'm talking to you about this particular situation, because in the West it's getting dire with all the killings. You can be subject to be shot and killed anytime. You go to the mall with your family to eat pizza. There's a drive-by that can happen, and now the drive-bys are being done by Tubab, and Tubabs are taking out everybody in sight. Or in the school, our children go to school, and we have kids come in there now with guns, and they're angry and full of the devil, and then they come to shoot up the place. And so we have this. And in the West, you have special precautions that you must adhere to because of the draconianness of what's happening inside the United States. And you have to be very, very careful of that, and be mindful of that, and always keep the Quran in your in your repertoire, in your heart, and on your lips. You keep those words there, and always be mindful that the Quran is our saving grace. It gives us the peace of mind. It's a mercy from Subhanahu wa Ta'ala to mankind, period. Muslims and non-Muslims alike, those who can read it and adopt it and understand it. This is why so many people are coming to Islam, because after they've heard a verse of the Quran, they've heard it recited beautifully. Even some of the hardest females, I saw here a couple of weeks back, known prostitutes, women who were going to bars and so forth and so on, heard one verse of the Quran and came to Islam. We're starting to see this happen. Well, you know what's happening in the prisons. The brothers are hardened. They come in there, and an OG Muslim gets them and then brings them in his wing, and then they come out fine young men. And this is something that Islam, we have this. And one of the pillars of that to bring them is a slot. And you will hear the brothers talk about this, that they find some certain type of peace, something they never had when they complete this prayer. And this is something, my brothers and sisters, that, how can you fight this? And you get this and you go and make prayer. You remember what Malcolm talked about? When Malcolm began to make his prayer, he talked about what happened to him. There's a transformation that's happened when you begin to make the Islamic prayers and don't do it correctly. There's something happened to you. Even the she devils that we showed here that who are doing these type of things, Subhanahu wa Ta'ala may restore this woman. We've seen this in the past, where we have hardened people who have killed Muslims, and Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, in his wisdom, restored them, and they became fine Muslims. Even this woman here may be out, there's something wrong with her. She just might be restored. You just don't know. She just might be restored. Even this lady here, we do not know. Subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who can make Muslims. We cannot make Muslims. We cannot do it. Subhanahu wa ta'ala can come into this lady's heart and make her into a Muslimah. And then she will repent after she realizes what she's done. She'll say, I didn't know why I did this. I saw the man. I don't know why I've done this. And I bet you when you question these women, they'll say, yeah, we don't like to see people pray. Okay, you don't like that. Just walk on. Why would you go strip in front of the man? You see, and they themselves don't even understand what and why they did what they did. And so this is something that is very, 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 very troubling. But on the same token, you got to always remember, Subhanahu wa ta'ala could restore this woman and make her Muslimah. You never know. And because he has this power to do this, and just be mindful of that, my brothers and sisters, and keep the prayer, keep the Quranic Arabic on your lips. The brothers and sisters who do not know how to read the Arabic and speak it, you learn and recite it. There's a lot of things now where a lot of places on YouTube that are free now. You can learn the Arabic because you need to in order to get the inside out of our religion. Because to learn only English, you're really behind the 8 ball, because there's a lot of things still not written in English language yet to help you to understand your religion very well. And plus the translation of from the Quranic Arabic to English is, in some cases, it's good, but still not, because there's certain things like inna, the first word here. It's hard to translate. It can be translated in English, but not really, because it has a way. And then the sentence is geared by inna, and there's certain grammar rules here that we have. And like you see the word here, fasha, where those read Arabic, we could also put another. There's another letter that we can put here to make emphasis on fasha and munkar. There's a lot of things that you will learn. And when you ask, I will say this to my brothers and sisters in the West who do not speak Arabic. I'll tell you what my teacher told me when I was in Sudan. It's great Sheikh, stuff he's passed on, Rahim Allah, he's passed on now. He told me one time when he asked me about the Quran, about the prayer, and I told him, I mean, not prayer, but I prayed, but about the Arabic, he explained to me, he said, you get the Quran and you try to read it from the first chapter to the last chapter. And it may take you 1 year. You try to do that. And then after that, you make a dua to Subhanahu wa ta'ala that you will be able to learn this and to learn and speak, to understand the Quran in its original text. I did this, and it slowly began to happen. This is what I suggest to you, my brothers and sisters, that you do the same thing. Ask Subhanahu wa ta'ala, beg to him, cry to him, ask him, so that you can have this beautiful language, this Afro-Asiatic language. You can have it so that way you can get deeper into understanding the Quran, because without it, my brothers and sisters, you just are at a disadvantage. It's just a disadvantage, and so forth and so on. And this is why we must take our religion and take it seriously in all of it, and especially the Arabic. Arabic is part of the religion. That's bottom line. It's not part of, it's not part of religion. I heard people say it is part of religion. You listen to our Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, what he said, he talked about that same issue. And so we should learn that. So my brothers and sisters, I have given you something short here about the brothers. And Amina here, she was talking about the brothers should avoid public areas to pray. They should try. There are other areas. Yeah, they should try, if they can, to not to pray in public. But sometimes you can't avoid that. If you're working in a business, the business owner, he may not want you to pray inside, or maybe there's no place for you to pray inside the place because it may be filthy, and you go outside to pray. And then Amina says here as well, she says that Muslims in the West can face a lot of hate, and this is a very, very true factor, because this is we know what's happening in the West, especially after 9/11, and what she said previously, the brothers should avoid public areas to pray. They should try. There's other areas behind a tree, so forth. Yes, but if you're in a big city, like in LA, you're limited. There's no masjids close by, so you may have to find some place. But if you can find a place where you can have some privacy, where no one can disturb you, then you go out there and you pray. But in some places now are starting to be very tolerant of, they see Muslims praying in the street and they don't bother them. We're starting to see this trend where they see, and sometimes people are admiring the Muslims as they pray in the street, or they'll see a group of Muslims in a park praying. And now you're starting to see people are not feeling threatened by this anymore. And you're starting to see the people, some have a smile on their face. You can see people taking pictures of Muslims. We don't know if they're turning the Muslims in or not, but we see people taking pictures of Muslims praying. And we know in New York City, especially times of the year, the Muslims will pray in the city, and they will even cordon off the city in certain parts of the city so the Muslims could have prayer outside, because of that many people want to make a congregational prayer together. So we're starting to see this, and it's starting to open up somewhat in some places in the United States and even in Europe, and so forth and so on. So my brothers and sisters, this is a short talk here about about the Salat and the difficulties our brothers and sisters are facing inside the West about trying to complete that Salat and trying to do it in peace. Very, very difficult in the land of disbelief. It's very, very difficult. So my brothers and sisters, I will leave you here with the beautiful words of Jannah. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.